In this video we're going to model the PCB casing around the PCB pen. First of all, open up the part, which will be an assembly part. So here I have the USB flash drive with no casing, and there's a preview down there on the left. All the previous files above are the separate components that make up the assembly, and the model below, as you can see, is a completed PCB casing. Once you've opened up the assembly, what we want to do is we want to model within this assembly, but create a new part, and that new part will eventually be 3D printed. So at the top of the left, we're going to select Create Component. We're going to give it a part name, so we'll call it Casing Upper. Very importantly, what we want to do is we want to choose from the template options under metric a standard millimeter part, an IPT. The reason for this is it will then make sure that all the assembly work that we do is in millimeters rather than in a standard inches, which would be what we would be working in if we didn't make this option. So select the standard millimeter part, select OK, same saving direction, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to very quickly select the top flat surface. As you can see, the assembly now has gone grey, and what we're going to do now is we're going to basically be working in a typical part design task, and we're going to start with creating a 2D sketch, and that 2D sketch we're going to select to be on the plane that will position the PCB as effectively a bird's eye view. As you can see, because it's been grayed out, we might need to zoom in just to be able to model around this. And today's approach is going to be very simple. We're simply going to create a single line around the outside of the PCB, and then another line which will make a closed loop effectively, which will then form our solid part. So selecting our line tool, we're going to create a very simple form, and we're going to start by just coming inside and modeling around our existing PCB. Now, as you can see, nothing is being dimensioned. So all we're doing here is working our way around the outside of the PCB, giving ourselves a few millimeters just around the outside, but still creating a very high tolerance component. What I'm doing here is I'm just clicking stage by stage, using the middle mouse button to roll in and out. The dotted lines, coincidentally, are telling me that certain lines are lining up, but for this tutorial, the accuracy is not important. And again, we work our way around, drawing inside the gaps until we return back to the start position. Having achieved the inside line work, we're now going to try and go around the outside to create our design. For this, you might want to choose something a bit more organic, like a spline line. So we'll start by clicking and creating an organic profile, which again we can make slightly asymmetrical to create our shape. It's very important that we click back to the beginning position. As you can see, the green dot here signifies it's going to connect, and right click, hit create, and that will create our outside profile. At this stage, I'm going to add a circle, and that circle is going to be a small hole onto which we can clip our USB pen onto a keyring. Select finish sketch, and the orientation will bring it round to a position where we can see what we have. Now, as you can see, it's a very simple profile, nothing complex about it, and we're now going to select to extrude that profile, and select it like that with the left mouse button, and by just rotating around to the side, what we can do is we can drag this position up until it just sits over the edge there. If I now tick, that will give me a solid extrusion. What we're going to do now is I'm just going to flick over the model, so rotate it around to the other side, and I'm going to close off this surface here. To achieve this is a very quick process. We click Sketch, and this time I'm going to click onto the extruded part surface, and rather than modeling all the way around the outside with a line, I'm just going to close off the top position there. So now I have a closed loop effectively. Finish sketch. This time when I extrude, I'm going to click on the first surface, and holding down Shift, I'm going to click on the internal surface as well. So what I now have is a closed part. Viewing it from the side, I'm going to make it slightly thinner. So bring it down to 2 mil. This will save on material when 3D printing. And if I now tick that, I should now have my USB half. Once I've achieved this, and there are obviously a number of other things I could do to this, like make some cuts, draw some patterns and text, and round off the edges. To finish this tutorial off, all I need to do now is create the mirrored version of this part. To do that is very simple. What I'm going to do first of all is, in its current state, I'm modeling this extruded part here, which is called upper casing over here. I'm going to activate the assembly by double clicking on the left hand model tree, that term, and now I've reactivated the whole assembly, so I'm now working with the whole thing. And in the top left we have this option of mirror, and that's going to allow us to mirror a part. So choosing the component first, I'm going to choose the casing. Where it says mirror plane, I'm going to select the surface to which it will be adjoined. And we have a small preview of what that will look like. And then by clicking next and clicking OK, what I now have is a finished USB of 2 parts. These 2 parts could be 3D printed, and then using that flat surface that adjoins them, they could be glued together. And both of these parts will fit perfectly around our PCB pen. When we hit save, it will ask us to save the new mirrored part, which we'll go OK to. And this means that when we go to open up the 2 separate parts, upper casing and upper casing mirror, we can save those separately as STL files and 3D print those ready for manufacture.